quick. Okay, so hello and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. On behalf of the National NHSA Student Association, I'm proud to be hosting this event as part of our virtual event series in collaboration with an initiative called Greece 200 or Bicentennial Greece. NHSA is a nonprofit organization representing students and young professionals throughout the US and Canada, and it's also one of the founding organizations for Greece 200, which aims to preserve our past by building our future. And Greece 200 really is a platform for young professionals to celebrate the 200-year anniversary of Greece's independence, but also the thousands of years of culture. And with that, part of that thousands of years of culture is obviously Mastiha. And I'm very happy and thankful to Effie for taking the time to be with us today. And Effie, I'll turn it over to you to give a little introduction and kind of talk about Mastiha, and then we can make some drinks.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for having me and thanks for organizing this. I know the holidays can get pretty hectic for everyone. Personally, I didn't do much of anything. I actually stayed in New York. But my name's Effie Panagopoulos. I'm the first Greek woman in history to start a liquor brand, and I work with Greece's first known female distiller. I've been in the liquor industry for just over 20 years now. I was the first brand ambassador for Mastiha in the United States. And I worked for Bacardi, Remy, consulted for countless startup brands, and actually was the person that first brought Mastiha liqueur over to the US. So my journey with this started way back in 2008. My eureka moment for Kleos was when I was at Namos in Mykonos. I'm sure some of you guys have been there. Granted, this was many, many years ago. And everyone around me, and it was Americans that were all drinking shots of Mastiha. And I thought to myself, what the hell is this? Why don't we have this in the United States? And I want to be the one to make this happen. So I actually consulted for Skinos and helped him come over to the US. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that brand. It's the largest selling brand in Greece. It didn't work out financially for us to, work together. So I kind of decided to go at it on my own and see if I could actually make improvements on the category and what I thought was really lacking in the world of Greek spirits generally, and then Mastiha as well. And that's really kind of the super premium category or the luxury spirit category that Greece is very much lacking. We barely have products that sell for over, $25, never mind over $30. So Kleos is made in a much different way than most Mastihas are, not only from a packaging standpoint, but also from a liquid standpoint. So before I get into all that with Kleos, I will take you guys on a little journey to Kleos. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, it says host disabled, participant screen sharing. I was going to, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you guys a couple videos of Kleos and the Mastiha Holiday. So this is one that I personally shot with a film crew back in 2016. So I'm going to back this up and kind of show you all where we are here. So this is a beach in Kleos. Well, first and foremost, Most people don't know Chios. Chios is Greece's third largest island. It goes, Crete, Lesbos, Chios, and Rhodes. Um, and it's one of these islands that is not a big tourist trap. A lot of Turks go there, but not too many Greeks go there. So I kind of call Mastiha Greece's best kept secret, because not only do foreigners not really know Mastiha, most Greeks don't actually really know what Mastiha is and its history. When I launched Kleos in Mykonos, most of the Greeks I met, and these were at luxury hotel properties where I was selling my brand, really think Mastiha is just chewing gum. They don't realize that it's a resin that comes from this one tree that grows only on this one island. So the southern part of the island of Chios is where the skinos tree grows that produces this raw aromatic resin. This beach here is in the Mastiha area. It's called Mavra Volya, and it's called Mavra Volya because it is all black stone. There's no sand until you get into the water. And even in the water, it's one of these places that you kind of wonder, like, why the hell would people want to go here? Because it's all rocks and it's very uncomfortable, but it's just got this stunning, stunning beauty. It's so picturesque. It's one of my favorite places in Chios. This here is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's called Anavita. And from here, we descend into the Mastiha. So the Mastiha are 24 villages in the southern part of the island of Chios. This particular village that you see here is called Mesta. It's Europe's most oldest, most well-preserved medieval village. It was built in the 11th century, and it actually was built along with the rest of the Mastiha by Genovese Italians. So we greatly owe it to the Italians that Mastiha even exists today, because what they did was they came in recognizing the commercial relevance of Mastiha and actually built walled cities around each one of these villages to not only protect the villages and the villagers, but also to organize the commercialization of Mastiha throughout the Southeast Mediterranean basin. I'll tell you guys a little more about Mastiha and its commercialization in a little bit. This is another one of the villages, which is called Biriyi. The entire village has what this motif that's called xisti. So xisti is this design that you see, and the designs are random, but they're all in the same fashion where they actually are etching out. So it's actually black stone, and they etch out the white that's underneath. And the entire village has this motif. You can see the church here in Biriyi also has that motif. It's absolutely stunning. And it's also the village that has the most Mastiha trees per capita of all of the 24 Mastiha. So from here, we descend into a field of Mastiha trees. And this was a village called Kalamoti. Super picturesque. And I'm gonna, someone else just joined in. I'm going to jump to kind of talk to you guys a little bit of the harvest and cultivation of Mastiha. So you get a quick bird's eye view into it here. That is actually what the Mastiha resin looks like. It looks almost like it's an illicit substance, but you chew on this. It was the world's first chewing gum. So, we know the word Mastiha as chewing gum as Greeks, but the root of the word to chew in most of the Romance languages actually comes from the Greek, from Mastiha as well. In French, it's mastique. In Spanish and Italian, it's masticare or masticar. And in Portuguese, it's also mastigar with a harder G. So another kind of cool fun fact. The root of the word to chew in most Romance languages comes from Mastiha. So now we're gonna go over to my website. If you guys are curious and you kind of want to learn more after this Zoom, this is literally an encyclopedic reference for Mastiha. Under this tab here, Discover the Mystique of Mastiha, you'll find everything from your bare basics of what it is, and there is an actual kind of chemical breakdown here of Mastiha, the story of Saint Isidore, which I'm going to tell you guys about, healing properties, Mastiha applications, history and fun facts. So Mastiha was first referenced in history in 500 BC by Herodotus, who we know is the Greek father of history. It was first prescribed for medicinal purposes by Hippocrates, who's the Greek father of medicine. So it's been around for over 3,000 years, yet never been mass marketed outside of Greece, which is kind of why I call it Greece's best kept secret. When I first discovered or rediscovered Mastiha as an adult, as kids, we all know Mastiha as ipovrigio or vanilla, that little kind of fluff looking spoon dessert that we have that you swirl around in water and suck on like a lollipop. So that's what I thought Mastiha was. And I didn't know what the raw ingredient was. So when I rediscovered it as an adult and kind of all the richness of the history and culture surrounding Mastiha, I literally was kind of jaw dropped in the sense that this is kind of a marketer's dream, the same way that acai became, or Brazilian acai became this huge superfood phenomenon. That's really kind of what I see for Mastiha and the future. Of course, I make alcohol from it. Its use in alcohol dates back just as far, to those times before Christ. The ancient Greeks and Romans used to use Mastiha to spice their wine or their alcohol, as well as chewing it, as chewing gum. So I'm gonna hop over to the Mastiha cultivation, and I'm gonna chat a little bit about Mastiha's healing properties. So Mastiha is a superfood. It is also what's called a PDO. It's a protected designation of origin ingredient. So it's recognized by the EU. So it is this resin that comes from this specific aromatic tree, colloquially called the scinos tree. The scientific name for the tree is the Pistachius lentiscus var. Which means Chian variety of this specific tree. There is no other tree in the Mediterranean that is genetically similar to this specific variety that grows in the southern part of the island. They've in fact tried to plant the trees in the northern part of the island, and the trees grow, but they don't produce the same aromatic sap. It really is, someone else just joined in. It really is fascinating. And the cultivation is something that is also been honored by UNESCO. It's on its list of intangible cultural world heritage because the cultivation of Mastiha has been going on the same exact way, save like one mechanical, tool that they use now, but the majority of the work is all done by hand. There's nothing automated about this process. And that's also kind of what keeps it special, what keeps it expensive, and what keeps it very rare. People ask me all the time, like, well, how do you intend to create a global brand if it's in, such limited quantity? And the fact of the matter is because of the fact that Mastiha has not been ever really mass marketed, the Growers Association has warehouses full of Mastiha. And the capacity for growth is much greater than it is right now. The Kleos Mastiha Growers Association was established in the 1950s, and it's about 3,000 families that own trees and harvest them, or cultivate them and then harvest them to collect the resin. So there are trees that are there that stay unharvested, and there is many more that can be grown to even increase capacity. With the current trees that exist, my capacity is most definitely adequate to become a global brand. I've vetted my formula, and Kleos actually uses the most Mastiha per ounce of any Mastiha that's on the market. So there are 6 videos on my site that kind of go through the step-by-step process of harvesting the Mastiha tree. I'm gonna jump a little bit. I'm gonna show you guys only 3 of them. The harvest for the Mastiha starts July 15th and ends at the end of September. So it's very short. And the first, let's say, I don't know if you want to call it pricking of the tree, making incisions upon these trees. The first time they make these incisions in the summer, that date of July 15th, they call Rinyasma, which is the first Kendima. But I'm going to go ahead and play these. I also shot these myself with a film crew in Chios. And
then we start,
our host here is named Vasily, and he has an ecotourism company. If anyone is interested in actually visiting Chios, visiting Mastiha specifically where his company is, and actually going down to experience what it is to actually harvest raw resin. You know, you can go make incisions on trees, collect mastiha. I'm happy to connect anyone that would want to do that whole experience.
Then we start kendima, which is the action of making incisions on the bark of the tree. Literally, kendima means embroidery. I guess that old people named it like this because it's very meticulous. You need to be precise to get a good yield from the tree, but also to do it in a way that you don't damage the tree. Kendima starts from the base of the trunk. The first time we do it, we call it rinyasma, and we score just a couple of incisions on the trunk, very low on the base. And this is like a wake-up call for the tree. A few days later, we go again to the same tree and we do from 5 to 20 incisions, depending on the size and age of each tree. And we go like this, once per week or twice per week, and do this number of incisions.
So the next video I'm going to show you is what's called pitologima. So this is kind of what it looks like after the incisions have been made on the tree.
So in the middle of August, we do the first collection that we call pitologima. Pita is the name we use for the big chunks of mastic that normally form around the base of the trunk, because all the incisions on the trunk drip on the same spots, and little droplets of mastic stick to each other and they form bigger and bigger chunks. So at early morning, at the crack of dawn, you have to go to the field and collect all these pita one by one by hand, carefully placing them in a wooden box where you have already spread some powder, white powder, trying not to pile them. So you place them side by side to make sure that they don't stick to each other.
So you guys can see here, you can see here, the mastiha tree is kind of unlike a maple tree. I grew up in Boston, you know, went to Girl Scouts, and we actually would go tap maple trees for maple syrup. So it's very unlike this. When you tap a maple tree, it pretty much kind of pours out immediately. With mastiha, when you make the incision, it forms little teardrops. And you can see here on this kind of screen frame here that these hang off the tree, and they'll hang like this for a few days until they've hardened and then drop to the ground into that crystallized form, which they call pita. In the beginning, it could be a little bit malleable. It's a little soft. It's definitely very, very sticky. And then I'm going to show you the last of these 6 videos to kind of show you the cleaning process for mastiha. So, you know, 10 years ago, the median age of a mastiha farmer was about 65 years old. It was very much the work of elderly people. And now the median age is around 55 because younger people have kind of, you know, caught on to the trend. Mastiha has become much more trendy, even in Greece itself. And so younger people have come back to the island to kind of resurrect this tradition of harvesting these trees. Because like I said, there's a lot of families that have trees that go unharvested. So the cleaning of the mastiha is primarily done by the women in the villages. And this is done in late September, early October.
This is called pastrema. Pastrema traditionally is performed in the villages. When the sun is still up, people will do it outside of their houses, in front of their houses. Because it's a very long process, quite boring. So this way people may have the opportunity to chat with a neighbor or somebody that passes by and so on. Later in the night, people may get together to do it, like a social activity, let's say, whether you may have a group of people in one table, each cleaning his or her mastic, or this group of people rotating on different houses, cleaning each time somebody else's mastic. This type of work is called danika. It's like a time-sharing concept.
Opa. All right, so from the cultivation, I want to show you guys one last video, and that's the video of the story of Saint Isidore. So there's scientific reasons for why Mastiha grows only in this southern part of the island. And then there's the kind of folklore and religious reasons. So one of the main ways that Mastiha was actually commercialized was through the church. Mastiha is considered to be one of the ancient resins. So along with frankincense and myrrh, which we read about at Christmas time every year, Mastiha is actually used in the incense in the Christian church, particularly in the Greek Orthodox Church, of course, but at those times, it was the Greeks that were spreading Christianity. So it was through Christianity that Mastiha actually got commercialized. So think about that as kind of like a marketing tool, meaning the church. And that was how Mastiha first became popularized. So if you want to know, it traveled all the way to Egypt. So when I say the Southeast Mediterranean basin, Turkey is the biggest purchaser of Mastiha in the Growers Association. And then you've got Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Iran even, and then Libya, and then the north coast of Africa. In those cuisines, you'll see Mastiha used as a spice. So the story of Saint Isidore, I am going to let this amazing Greek woman that I met in Mesta. So you guys can tell Mesta is my favorite Mastiha Holiday. It's that medieval village. This woman, her name is Evgenia Almirudi, and she has family in New York, specifically in Astoria, actually. And she owns this tavern called Taverna o Meseonas that's right in the center of town in Mesta. So if you ever go there, let her know that Effie from Kleos Mastiha sent you. This woman was amazing. I actually was on my flight on Aegean going from Mykonos to Chios to shoot all of this. And there was a feature in Aegean magazine that was about Chios. And it said, go to our website, to hear from locals. And so I went to the website and they had like 3 different videos from local Chians. And I clicked on Evgenia's and I literally was like, I need to meet this woman. And because of course Mesta is so small and that's where I had my film crew staying, I literally was like, ask everyone where this woman is and where we can find her. And so of course they found her and we ended up interviewing her and also interviewing her mother. So she was, when I did this, 80 some odd years old and her mother was late 90s. So enjoy the story of Saint Isidore.
Η Νότια Χίος είναι ευλογημένη. Είναι ευλογημένη από τον Άγιο Σίδερο. Αυτός ο άνθρωπος, ο Άγιος Σίδερος, ήταν χριστιανός. Και επειδή δεν άλλαζε την πίστη του, τον εδέσανα πάνω σε ένα άλογο και πάρε δρόμο το μουλάρι, ήτρεχε. Αφού πια ο άνθρωπος είχε σμπαραλιάσει με τα αίματα και με τα χτυπήματα και ξέρω εγώ, ίσπασε το σινί το λόγο και αυτός ο καμένος εσούρτηκε και πήγε γη κάτσε κάτω από ένα δέντρο. Το δέντρο αυτό ήταν ο σκήνος. Τον εσυμπώνεσε το δέντρο και γύρισε ο Άγιος Σίδωρος και του λέει εύχομαι το δάκρυ σου, γιατί έκλαιγε το δέντρο και του λέει ότι εύχομαι το δάκρυ σου να γίνει φάρμακο για όλο τον κόσμο. Και αυτό είναι που είναι ευλογημένη η Νότια Χίο από τον Άγιο Σίδερο. Και από το μαστίχι είναι ευλογημένο από τον Άγιο. Έτσι είναι η παράδοση τώρα. Μπορεί να είναι και αλήθεια.
I don't know if everyone got the Greek, but what I love about this video when we interviewed her, she's telling this passionate story about Saint Isidore and how he basically blessed the island and the trees and said, will your resin become a medicine for the whole world? And then she's like, oh, it could even be true. So anyway, I love that. I'm going to jump into the cocktail making portion of tonight. Before I do that, I'm going to tell you guys real quick points of differentiation with Kleos. So first of all, this is my child. Beautiful, beautiful packaging. That's one of the points of differentiation with Kleos is the packaging. My cap is pretty much more expensive than other Mastihas with the liquid inside. So that's first. But more importantly is going to be the quality of the liquid in the production. So I work with Marusa Takaki, who's Greece's first female distiller. And besides the fact that she's a woman, she also is a complete whiz at distillation. She is the head distiller for, sorry, someone else is popping in. She's the head distiller for the Arvanitis company. Isidoros Arvanitis is the distillery. And they make ouzo plomaris. So it's Greece's #1 selling ouzo, which they pump out over 1 million cases a year. And what's really fantastic about this distillery is that they have over 18 baby stills. So a still would be, let's pretend this bottle is a still. It's almost like, think about using a Brita to purify water. We use a still to purify alcohol and remove the ethanols or the heads and the tails, the ethals and the fusels. These are the bad things in alcohol that kind of give you a hangover. So that's what you use a still for. And you also use a still to put flavor and aroma into your alcohol products. So Kleos is made very similar to how you would make gin. I, #1, start off with a neutral grain spirit base. So it's essentially a vodka to start. Other Mastihas use sugar beet. So sugar beet is going to be the cheapest alcohol that you can buy global and in bulk on the global market. And so all other Mastihas are using sugar beet. With Kleos, I actually use a vodka to start. So it's going to be one of the big reasons that it's not as sweet as other Mastihas. And for the record, I buy neutral grain spirit from the same factory that actually makes Belvedere vodka. So it is a primarily rye-based neutral grain spirit base. #2 point of differentiation is going to be that I actually use 2 forms of Mastiha. So I use the raw resin that you saw in those videos, the actual crystals we put into the still. And that's going to, from there, we can extract the most flavor and aroma possible of Mastiha. And then the second form of Mastiha that we use is Mastiha essential oil. So if you go on my website, sorry, someone else is joining. No, Constantine, are you still a host?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, awesome. So with Mastiha essential oil, most brands that exist on the market are either using artificial Mastiha. So artificial Mastiha runs rampant on the market, and it's actually the Turkey that makes the most artificial Mastiha. So there are now over 50 brands of Mastiha on the market, and I'm going to tell you guys that pretty much 80% of those brands are using artificial Mastiha, and that's a shame because a lot of them are Greek brands. #2 is going to be most brands that actually are using Mastiha are using just Mastiha essential oil. Why is that? You saw those videos, you saw how sticky and tacky the Mastiha is. So once it's hardened and then you put it in the still and heat it again, what it's going to do is stick all over everything. So it is a painstaking process to actually use raw resin to make Mastiha spirits, to make alcohol with Mastiha. So not many people are doing it. And a big reason is because of the fact that it sticks all over the still. So we've got a proprietary method that we use to actually use the raw resin in the still. And then not only that, we do a third distillation where we're actually cleaning the stills with another run of 90 proof neutral grain spirit base, so that we're running off all the leftover Mastiha resin. Sorry, Constantine, someone else just hopped in. So we also have 2 stills at the distillery that are dedicated to Mastiha. So that's another big reason. Most distilleries in Greece that are making Mastiha are also making ouzo. So another thing you'll notice if you test, like kind of taste test and nose different Mastihas side by side, is a lot of them are going to smell like ouzo. And the reason being is because a lot of these companies are using the same still that they make ouzo in. They put their Mastiha in there. And so you're going to get a lot of that leftover flavor and aroma of the anise or the glicaniso that's used to make ouzo. So with Kleos, I've got dedicated stills. So these 3 points of differentiation. Number 1, using a neutral grain spirit base. So it's, like I said, essentially a vodka to start. Number 2, I use 2 forms of Mastiha. So the raw Mastiha resin and Mastiha essential oil. Number 3 is going to be the fact that we have dedicated stills for Mastiha. So no other botanical goes in there. We've got 2 stills that are dedicated for Mastiha at the Arvanitis factory. And then a big thing that is key for Americans particularly is going to be sugar content. So Kleos is under 30% sugar, whereas other Mastihas are going to be over 40%. The majority of them are actually over 50%, going up as high as 60% sugar. So at that point, you're essentially just drinking sugar water with a little bit of alcohol, you know, and most times it's going to be artificial Mastiha. So sadly, that is pretty much what runs rampant on the market. And that's the stuff that's given away for free in Greece after a meal. So with Kleos, I've really, really tried to do right by this category. You know, selling Kleos in Greece has been such a challenge for me. I'm just going to start sales in January because I couldn't find a distributor, because everyone was like baffled at like, how are we going to sell a Mastiha? It's so much more expensive than Skinos and so much more expensive than the cheapest Mastiha on the market, you know? And I had to actually educate Greeks in Greece about Mastiha because there's so few brands that are actually using the traditional methods of distillation. And they barely even know the difference between artificial Mastiha and real Mastiha. So a way that you will know that is that any product with authentic Kleos Mastiha has to have this stamp from the Growers Association. And what the stamp says is Αυθεντική Mastiha Hue, and it has a very specific design here in the middle with 4 quadrants. You'll see that on any product that has real Kleos Mastiha and that is controlled by the Kleos Mastiha Growers Association, which is that farmers collaborative that I mentioned to you. So Kleos, to sum it up, is the only double distilled, small batch, low in sugar Mastiha on the market. And it's the only one also that's women owned and women distilled. So we're gonna go ahead and jump to cocktail making. I'm gonna move my laptop over to my bar setup over here. All right. So we're here in my WeWork space. First thing I want to talk about for the amateur home bartender, and by no means am I like mixology level bartender at all, but it's nice to have some basic tools. One of those basic tools is going to be your shaker. There's a couple different types of shakers you can get. These are Japanese style baby shakers. So you literally would only make 1 drink in a shaker like this. I really like these. I use them a lot at tastings. And it's a 3-piece shaker, so it naturally has a little strainer in it. These are pretty good for the home bartender. Another type of shaker you can get is a Boston shaker, which is going to be 2 pieces. So it's got the big tin on the bottom, and then it's going to have a pint glass that kind of, you know, goes with it. This here is a Japanese mixing glass. I love these. These are going to be a little harder to come by, meaning like you can't just pop into a Williams Sonoma and grab one of these. I have seen some in kits at Bath & Beyond, but you can definitely get them online. And these are the mixing glasses you'll see at a lot of fancy cocktail bars, and they're primarily going to be used for making stirred cocktails. So I am going to be making one stirred cocktail tonight. Along with that is your mixing spoon. One of the most important things to get if you don't want to get any of this fancy stuff is a jigger. A jigger is your measuring tool. So I've got a few different sizes of jiggers. This is a 2 ounce, 1 ounce jigger. This one is a 3/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce jigger. Those are pretty much the sizes that you want to get. Typically with spirits, you're using 2 ounces or 1 ounce of your main, ingredient, your spirit. And then when it comes to adding acid, like lemon or lime or simple syrup, you're adding, 1/2 ounce of acid, maybe a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup when you're adding a little bit of sugar to your cocktails. So these are going to be good tools. Is get a jigger, no doubt. Another thing always important to have is going to be a paring knife. Typically with your, besides cutting your citrus and cutting your fruit, what I like using a lot of is peels. So, rather than amateur style, just kind of cutting a lemon wedge and squeezing it into your drink, the great way to add a little touch of acid to a drink is going to be by making peels. So you're literally just going to sliver off, top of your lemon, so that you just have the peel, and you'll see we're going to use this in one of the drinks that we're going to make tonight. Another key tool to have is a muddler. Muddler is great because this is the way that you add tons of fresh fruit to cocktails. So with all the Kleos drinks that are on the website, I try to keep them as low calorie as possible and using fresh ingredients as much as possible. Actually, all the drinks on the Kleos website are fresh ingredients and low cal, low sugar. So I love using fresh fruit and herbs, and your muddler is going to be key for that because you literally just muddle in your tin whatever those fruits or herbs are that you're going to use. Another key tool, since I mentioned citrus many times, is going to be your lemon squeezer, lime squeezer. Definitely want to have one of these as well. And then another thing, if you have a Boston shaker, is having a strainer. When you're using fruits and herbs, you want to be able to strain out, any kind of pulp, any, bits of, let's say, basil in the one drink that we're going to make. So I think that covers the bases for most of the tools. Also, ice is going to be a main ingredient that you should always have on hand. A great thing to do is make block ice, meaning you can buy actual ice trays to create block ice. Block ice is better for cocktails because it's less dilution. So you don't want to make completely watered down cocktails. Tonight, I'm just using ice from the WeWork space here. So don't mind me on that front. I'm going to make 4 cocktails tonight. So the first drink I'm going to make is not going to be a totally winter style drink, but it is the signature drink for Kleos, which is why I want you all to know it. If you buy Kleos and you introduce it to your friends, particularly your American friends, I want everyone to know this cocktail. It was created by a guy named Michael Menegos, who I've written about him actually on the bottle of Kleos. He's kind of literally like the Greek god of cocktails in Greece. He resurrected classic cocktail culture. He used to be a global ambassador for Havana Club. He's very widely recognized on kind of the global mixology circuit. And he lives back in Greece now, and he kind of just writes. He's a little bit out of the scene. He doesn't bartend anywhere, but if you guys have ever heard of a bar called The Clumsies, A for Athens, any of these cocktail bars that you know of, these bartenders have either been trained or mentored by Michael Menegos. So he is the person that created this drink. And we're going to start off with your mixing tin. This is the Cleopatra, and it's 3 ingredients and only 110 calories, 4 grams of sugar. So the 3 ingredients are going to be basil, lemon, and Kleos. Easy peasy. Sorry, I'm just cutting a couple of basil leaves here. So you're going to put about 3 or 4 into your mixing tin. I already pre-squeezed some lemon juice. And what we do is 1/2 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon juice. And don't worry, I'm gonna have Constantine send you guys an email with all these recipes, so don't feel like you have to feverishly take notes. So you're muddling the basil with the lemon juice, and then we're gonna add 2 ounces of Kleos. So this is that 2 ounce jigger. Adding ice, and then you're gonna give this a nice vigorous shake. Glass we're gonna use is a highball glass. We're gonna fill this glass with ice. And then you're gonna strain that Cleopatra out. You see it's got this kind of beautiful light green hue. That's how you know if you have properly muddled your basil. And then what I like to do is kind of garnish with a basil leaf, give it a little kind of smack there. And then you would put a straw in here, but this is your Cleopatra cocktail. I call this the Greek vacation in a glass. It's only 110 calories, 4 grams of sugar. It's super crushable, totally refreshing. This is the Mastiha drink that everyone in the United States needs to try. It's also why I've called it the Cleopatra. I joke the woman responsible for the downfall of the Roman Empire was Greek. So is your new drink. Cheers. Please introduce this to all your friends. And when you're feeling blue in the wintertime, that is the cocktail that literally takes you away. So next drink is called the Maria Callas. So you see there's a theme here. We've got prominent Greek women in history. This is gonna be your stirred cocktail, and I'm using a rocks glass for this drink. I've got a little surprise for this one too. So with this drink, the Maria Callas, this is a stirred cocktail, and it is a whiskey-based cocktail. I typically use Japanese whiskey for this drink. I broke my very expensive bottle of Japanese whiskey when I did a mixology session last week. So I'm using this brand called Harleston Scotch. It's made by a friend of mine, Dan Undhammer. And we're gonna do 2 ounces of the whiskey into your mixing glass. You can also just use a pint glass or a regular glass if you don't want to get fancy with the bar tools. And then we're going to do 1 ounce of Kleos here. So it's 2 whiskey, 1 Kleos. Add a little bit of ice to this. So typically with your stirred drinks, that's where you want to use big ice cubes so you don't have too much dilution. I'm going to stir this for like 10, 15 seconds. One thing I forgot to add. Cardamom bitters. So they say with cocktails, the main ingredients are water, spirit, bitters, acid, and sugar. So in this case, we're adding a tiny bit of bitter, and this is like a couple dashes, 2 or 3 dashes. Cardamom is gonna give this drink a kind of mulling spice thing, which all of a sudden puts it into winter category. So you could literally take 2 ounces of your favorite brown spirit. You could make this drink with metaxa. You could make this drink with cognac. You can make it with Irish whiskey. You can make it with bourbon. And I like doing a 2-1 ratio, but you can also change the ratio. You could do more Mastiha than whiskey if you want. I just like this because it frankly is a nice kind of ballsy drink. And when it comes to wintertime, we definitely go more spirit forward. So it's nice to have something that's boozy and a little more masculine. So it's unexpected from what people typically think a Mastiha cocktail is gonna be like, right? So I've got a little surprise for you guys. Be right back. So I bought this from Williams-Sonoma. It's an ice mold. So I mentioned you could get, ice trays to make your ice blocks. Well, this ice mold is for a diamond-shaped cube. You guys can see that. It's literally a diamond cube. It looks almost like the Kleos cap. It's super cool. So when I do home entertaining, I love having a nice kind of fancy big ice cube for this drink. Beautiful. And the last thing I'm gonna do here is give it a zest of lemon. So when you're zesting your drink, let me angle the computer a little bit. When we're zesting the drink, we're just gonna take the lemon peel, squeeze it ever so slightly just to release oils from the skin of the lemon. And then I like doing this also along the rim of the glass. So that's called zesting your cocktail. So we're not actually adding lemon juice, but it's just some of the oils from the citrus. And then you can drop that peel right into the drink. And then when you actually bring the glass up to your nose, you kind of get that beautiful citrus aroma. So it's this beautiful blend of Scotch, Mastiha, the cardamom bitter, and then that touch of lemon. This is literally the perfectly balanced winter cocktail. This is a riff on an old fashioned. And I call it the Maria Callas because I feel like this is a drink that an opera singer would want to drink before she was going to get up on stage to kind of warm up her lungs. And I originally used it with Japanese whiskey because Maria Callas's last performance was actually in Sapporo, Japan, 1974. So cheers again. Sorry, I'm going to get high on my own supply here. I love, 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 love this drink. And that recipe is also on my website. I think there's a couple questions in the chat. So before I jump to the next drink, someone said, I want that ice mold. You can get it at Williams-Sonoma. And they have different shapes too, which is super cool. So you can make it even more fun. So the next drink I'm gonna do is really hysterical. I call this Nisi Nog. So I typically hate eggnog. It's super high calorie. I was actually looking at home recipes for eggnog to maybe break that down and try to see if I could make a low-cal version. This is the one drink that I bought store-bought eggnog for. So I actually went and bought this low-fat eggnog. Blue Diamond makes an almond milk-based eggnog that's pretty awesome as well, but I could not find that around me here in New York. So this is Nisi Nog because it's made with Kleos. That's going to be the only spirit that you're going to use in this. And cold brew coffee, because what's more Greek than drinking coffee all the time? So with this drink, we're going to use our tin again. Let me get a clean tin. Here we go. Clean shaker tin. And we're going to start off with 2 ounces of Kleos. You can use more if you want to make this more boozy, but I measured this out so that it would be pretty well balanced. So 2 ounces Kleos, and then you're going to do 1 ounce of cold brew. Oh, wrong jigger. 1 ounce of cold brew, and then we're going to do 1 ounce of the eggnog. If you don't want to use eggnog and you want to just make this as low cal as possible, you can use a non-dairy creamer instead. It's obviously not going to be as flavorful. One of the things that I love about eggnog, I mean, it has eggs, heavy cream, but it also has, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, which also takes us into that nice kind of like winter category, right? So I'm gonna add ice to this. Again, give it a nice vigorous shake. You could do this with hot coffee as well, and stir it instead of shaking it. But I prefer it like this because it's literally like a milkshake. Last Zoom I did, I had whipped cream. I am out of whipped cream. I typically top this with whipped cream and cinnamon. This is your ultimate guilty pleasure cocktail. It's literally dessert in a glass. It's awesome. And for anyone that knows kaimaki, which is my favorite thing with Mastiha, it's Mastiha ice cream. It's made with a sheep's milk yogurt base, excuse me, a sheep's milk like base, and then cinnamon, salepi, and Mastiha. That flavor of kaimaki is here with a little bit of coffee. So this is amazing. This is not gonna be one of your low-cal options, but it's your guilty pleasure option that you would have like one or two of. Last drink I'm gonna make, I call the Greek Island hot tea. Instead of your Long Island iced tea, Greek Island hot tea. So I let a little bit of tea here steep. You can use whatever tea you like, honestly. Tsai Tubunu is great. I used a dandelion peach tea that I let steep with 3 ounces of water. And what we're gonna add to this, another clean jigger, is gonna be 1 ounce of Kleos. And I make this drink right in the glass. So 1 ounce of Kleos. And then I'm doing 1 ounce of gin. So gin is, you know, typically a combination of botanicals, juniper, lemon, coriander. There's even a Greek gin called Stray Dog that's made with Mastiha in it as well, which would be a great one. I just didn't have a bottle on hand. So I did 1 ounce of Kleos, 1 ounce of gin, and then I'm gonna do a 1/2 ounce of lemon here. And again, I'm just stirring this inside the mug. So this is another one that's gonna be a great kind of winter warmer. Don't be dumb like me and leave the tea bag inside. But easy peasy. Greek Island hot tea. And this was just 1 ounce Kleos, 1 ounce gin, 1/2 ounce lemon, and then 3 ounces of whatever your favorite hot tea flavor is. If you want to amp up the sugar, you can put honey, you can put some sugar in here to make it a little sweeter. Like I said, I like my drinks to be a little drier, not as sweet. But this is going to be another great kind of winter warmer option right now for the cold. I want to open it up to questions. I hate when I'm talking to myself on the screen right here. So I'd love to, Constantine, if you want to just open it up to questions, maybe have us in the Brady Bunch gallery view.
Yep, let me.
There we go. Hi, everyone.
Let me start with a question because I'm a big tequila person. What would you recommend making with tequila and Mastiha?
So I have a whole section on the website that's actually dedicated to agave spirits. So I've got 2 tequila cocktails on there, as well as a mezcal drink. So I personally love mezcal, but one of those drinks is actually right on the bottle. It's called Ay Kleos Mío. And it's your Kleos margarita. So I like to do 2 ounces of Kleos, 1 ounce of Blanco tequila. My go-to is Don Julio Blanco. And then a 1/2 ounce of fresh lime juice, and then black pepper instead of salt. So it's a really nice, or you can be fancy. I see the girls here have Clase Azul, super expensive tequila. But you can use Clase Azul with Kleos as well, for sure. Keep it very fancy. So I did 2 Kleos, 1 tequila, 1/2 ounce of fresh lime juice, and black pepper instead of salt. So it's a really nice, fresh, clean twist on a margarita. So typical margaritas are using triple sec or Cointreau, which has so much more sugar than what Kleos has. And then also add simple syrup. With Kleos, you're kind of killing 2 steps. No orange liqueur, no need for simple syrup. And it's just like a much fresher, cleaner version of a margarita. Mastiha pairs amazingly with tequila and mezcal because these plants are kind of similar. You know, they're both plant-based spirits. You have one agave and then one is a Mastiha tree. So they actually are both very kind of minerally and complement each other really well. Another drink I do, I call it got boozy time. Again, this is more of a summertime drink, but it's that same spec where I do kind of half Kleos, half tequila, muddled watermelon cubes, and lime juice. So, but what you could also do is if tequila is your go-to brown spirit, you could take this Maria Callas and you could make it with a reposado or an añejo tequila instead, and pick a different bitter that will complement. So you could try something fun. Believe it or not, there's like cilantro bitters out there. There's other flavors that you can play on that are going to be more like green and vegetal, right? Great.
We have a question here about where people can buy Kleos, and specifically in New York, but I guess generally speaking, is it at kind of specialty liquor stores? Like where are they being distributed?
So for New York, the best place is going to be wine.com. But what I would love everyone to do is email me directly for pre-orders. I basically literally just got a container. It was stuck at the port. I'm putting my email in the chat. It was stuck at the port in New Jersey for over a week and a half because of COVID backing up the ports during holiday. So I'm just going to be restocking stores hopefully this week. But wine.com is going to be the best bet. And what I'll do for anyone here is I will pay shipping for online orders for your first time order. I will do that via Venmo. So all anyone needs to do is email me their receipt for their bottle of Kleos, and then I will Venmo you the cost of the shipping. And through wine.com, it's like $13. And there are a ton of other stores listed on my website. And I'm putting that link in the chat under where to buy. So drinkkleos.com, where to buy. You'll see a ton of stores. But the best thing to do is just email me or DM me on the Kleos Instagram, and I'll tell you kind of what store is closest to you, or if you want to just buy online.
If anyone has any questions there, feel free to come off of mute and ask away.
Yeah, sorry, I just have a quick question here. I was wondering if you're planning to retail Kleos in Canada. I'm from Toronto, so.
Yeah, actually, I just got a DM about it again today. So I have submitted to the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario.
Yeah.
And the thing with them is they only do submissions 2 times per year. So
Okay.
they said, yes, they're going to bring it in, but it's probably not going to be until spring, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Definitely looking forward to it.
But the best thing you can do to help the cause is like go to your local LCBO store and bug them and tell them that you want this product.
All right.
And please, 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 guys, like connect with me on Instagram as well. It's the best way to stay in touch. I'm going to put the Instagram handle in the chat as well. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Person asked if I sell in Chicago. I'm hoping to start in 2021. There's another person, Nicole. Yes, you can absolutely connect with me via email or LinkedIn. I'd love to chat directly with anyone that's interested. And hearing more about the journey, Mastiha, starting your own brand, entrepreneurial questions, whatever you want, I'm here. I see someone called Babu here. I love that. Who's Babu? I would love to know. I think everyone is so Zoom fatigued that nobody puts videos on Zoom anymore.
That's true.
Everyone got tired of trying to look pretty for Zoom. Trust me, if I were back home in my apartment, I would not be wearing pants, but I'm here at WeWork, so I had to put some pants on. But anyway, seriously, everyone can unmute themselves. We can totally just, chat. Who else has messaged here? Oh, sales in Maryland. Yes. So you can, Maryland and DC, I'm going to be opening up also in 2021. Do I have any sustainability initiatives? Someone is asking here. So Mastiha itself is sustainable. It's sustainable and it's fair trade. It's also organic, but it's not certified organic because a lot of the farmers that grow Mastiha trees also kind of grow their olive trees next to their Mastiha trees. And sometimes they use fertilizer for those trees. So they can't get an organic certification for Mastiha. But, the glass bottle is recyclable. The cap is recyclable. Billy, thank you for tuning in.
I was just wondering, how long does the process take? I know you were saying that it first starts off with like a vodka and then you go and like distill it. So
Yep.
it must take a long time for it to kind of be ready for like the market and get it actually to consumer.
Yeah, it actually takes about 2 months.
Oh, wow.
So I start off with a maceration. So I do a maceration of raw Mastiha resin in the Nutri-Grain spirit. So it actually steeps in Mastiha first for about anywhere from 24 to 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
From there, we take that juice that's now been kind of essentially infused with Mastiha, and then we put that in the still with more Mastiha.
Right.
Do a first distillation with the raw resin, and that is 9 hours. And then we do a second distillation with the essential oil, which is another 9 hours. Every time a distillation happens, there's also a resting period. So it goes into these, what they call inox tanks, and it rests. So it doesn't age per se, but it's going to sit for about a week.
Okay.
Then it gets filtered with water. We add a little bit of sugar, and then it rests again. So the whole process takes around 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. Wow. So it's like compared to like wine though, it's still a very much more like faster process, right? For its like preparedness or
All depends. There's some
yeah.
commercial wines that are made that are pretty much grape juice. So.
Yeah, I know. I like box wine and stuff. I know just like my family's half Italian and every year we do wine, right? So yeah, no, it's definitely cool kind of think about like different stuff, especially with like resin. Resin has so many uses aside from just drinking, but I never even knew that it was used for drinks and food as well.
Yeah, so the one thing I forgot to like really get into with Mastiha is its kind of superfood and healing properties. So I mentioned it's a PDO. It's officially recognized as an herbal medicine by the EU, and it kills H. pylori, which is the bacteria that causes peptic ulcers, gastric cancer, and acid reflux.
Wow.
So in the EU, they actually put Mastiha in pills for people who have GI problems. So anything gastrointestinal. It's a natural remedy for Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome. So, if you have gut health issues, you can actually chew on the raw resin and swallow it. You can buy powdered version of Mastiha and put powder in your water. You can actually use Mastiha essential oil and put drops in your water. Mastiha essential oil is super expensive, but if you literally take 1 drop of Mastiha essential oil, put it in 8 ounces of water, drink that 8 ounces of water, not to be gross, but all of the gas will be completely removed from your stomach. Like it works like that. Like the Mastiha oil is super, super potent. So again, when we're talking about the spirits that are on the market that actually use Mastiha, you can make a whole 750, like you can make a whole big bottle of Mastiha with a drop of essential oil. That's how potent it is.
Wow.
It smells kind of like eucalyptus or sage, but then it's nothing like that because it's it's totally own thing,
Yeah, no, it's super cool. Thanks.
It's herbaceous and a little medicinal, a little menthol-y, like that. Let's see, anyone else? Anything else in the chat?
Hi, Effie. We just had a question. What was your first job? Was it in the industry, or how did you get started in Mastiha?
So, yeah, great question. So my very first job was when I was 15, doing a city cleanup crew. But like my first job after college, I actually was a high school teacher. I majored in French and I did Spanish and Italian. So I taught high school Spanish. But at night, I did tastings for every brand under the sun. So I was the Midori girl in Boston for like 2 years. So I literally daytime worked as a teacher. Then I went on to work for Univision, which is the Spanish TV network, copywriting and translating commercials. But I still worked doing liquor stuff at night. So I did Grey Goose, Stoli, Kahlua, Midori, Courvoisier, Maker's Mark. And then I kept applying for liquor jobs for years because I was just kind of like, why am I working this 9 to 5? This is such a fun industry. I would rather be doing this. And my first real industry job was with Bacardi when I was around 26 years old. In San Francisco, I was a market manager for Bacardi. And then I got recruited by NHSA. So I worked for NHSA for like 4 years as the national brand ambassador. From there, I consulted for a bunch of startups, but then I also got a job as a marketing manager for Di Serrano, working out of the Bacardi corporate office. So I've been in the industry for a very, very long time. Like I do a seminar on entrepreneurship, and I do not recommend for people to start businesses in industries that they don't have experience in. I know people do it all the time. I just don't recommend it, especially not an industry like the liquor industry. Like I've consulted for so many startups, and my big problem, I've raised capital, but it's extremely difficult as a female founder raising capital. It's a completely male dominated industry. You know, when I first tried raising money 10 years ago, it was such a gross process. Like everyone I pitched was just super condescending, even though I'd already worked in the business for a really long time. And the only reason I really was able to raise money was because of the fact that I have 20 years of experience doing what I'm doing, you know, and I would consult for startups that have zero experience in liquor. They can't get a distributor. I'd look at them and just be like, who gave you money and why? And like, why are you doing this? You know? And on my end with Kleos, I'm super passionate about this product that I've created. I really, truly believe that Kleos is going to be the next global Greek spirit brand. That is my goal. I am still single. I have nothing better to do. So I'm going to make that happen. I started Series A, or I started kicking off a 2 million raise before COVID, and COVID has pretty much like crushed a lot of my plans. So I've been just laying in the cut, dealing, and I'm going to raise a small amount of money to kind of get through the hump of COVID and then get back out on the market and try to raise VC funding. So I'm still a one man band, which like it's been very, very difficult. That said, I've done so much as a one woman show. You know, it's in New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and Florida, shipped to about 12 states, starting sales in Greece officially in January. Like we said, Canada's going to be kicking off. Australia may be kicking off. I just got emailed by somebody in Central America for distribution. I get these emails from people and I'm like, how do they even find me? You know? But the press has been great. The press for the brand has been great. My first press was in Vogue. It's been written about in Food and Wine. And 2020 was the year of all the awards. So Kleos is officially the top rated Mastiha globally. I got a gold medal from the LA Spirits competition. I got 90 points from Wine Enthusiasts, 94 points in the Ultimate Spirits Challenge, which is a New York spirits competition that's literally the best judges in the biz. I was getting texted during that by one of my friends that was working the competition, and he was like, the judges freaking love Kleos. And this makes me so, so proud because Greece is nowhere on the bar. You know, when you go to any bar, what product do you see that's Greek? Nothing. Even though I worked on Mastiha for years, Mastiha is old school. It's not hip. You're not seeing it in, you know, cool cocktail bars. And Kleos now is on the menu at Connaught Bar, which is #1 on the world's 50 best bars. It's on the menu at Dante in the Dante Martini, which is number 2 on the world's 50 best bars. That's here in New York City. So, you know, I'm getting Kleos in a lot of these places that like these bartenders will literally laugh at you if you come to them with some kind of like clowny, gimmicky product, you know? So I'm super proud of what I've done. And now it's kind of time to scale, you know, but I'm still a lowly startup brand.
Thank you. That's really inspiring. Well, we're actually going to Dante tomorrow, so we will make sure to order.
You're here in New York?
Yeah, we're in New York.
Amazing.
We're going to throw our Skinos in the garbage. That's it.
Listen, so the difference between Kleos and Skinos, I'll tell you, is that Kleos is double distilled. Skinos is only single, one-time distilled. Skinos uses sugar beets. Kleos uses neutral grain spirit. Skinos is single distilled with raw resin. Kleos is double distilled with 2 forms of Mastiha. Skinos is about 42% sugar. Kleos is under 30% sugar. So you're gonna make much more balanced cocktails with Kleos. And also you can really just drink Kleos by itself. You know, you can drink it as your vodka or as your gin, just on the rocks with a splash of soda. Regular Mastiha, you might be able to have one, but you wouldn't be able to have more than one. And that's the thing. Like I made Kleos so that it would be balanced enough that you could drink it by itself. And then it does that double duty of also working in cocktails. But because I use 2 forms of Mastiha, and we have this double distillation process, it's much more aromatic, it's much more refined, it's a much more elegant expression of Mastiha than what exists on the market.
Cool. Thank you.
I love that you guys live in New York. That's awesome. Hopefully we can do one of these in person cons and see.
I'm down.
I mean, listen, I can like, you know, I can get probably, I don't know, what are we at restrictions wise now with Cuomo? Can we do under 20? Because I can get 20 people into my WeWork space.
I don't know.
And it's a big enough, it's like big in here. It's huge, you know? And I have multiple floors, so we could, 5th floor is bigger than this floor. And no one's in here after 7 o'clock. It's empty completely. So we could do a little small gathering, 20 people under, if you guys want, some point soon.
Yeah.
Who else is New York based? Who are the girls that had the Clase Azul? Christina Valsada.
Yeah, we're in Toronto though. But
I got a question for you.
my sister just said we'll fly over.
Nice.
Come on.
Well, once I get Canada open, I'm definitely gonna be coming there. My family is from Belleville, Ontario. So
Yeah.
what, half an hour outside of Toronto? My uncle was the mayor of Belleville for like 8 years. That's
I have a question for you. I'm the girl's dad here. A buddy of mine asked me about a product a while ago. He actually sent me a picture. I can't remember what it was, but it was Mastiha infused water.
Yeah.
He said to me, he hears that it's very good for your digestion and everything.
Yeah.
Is that a Greek product? He was asking me because I'm Greek, right? He's like, do you know about this?
Yeah.
I've never seen it before.
So there's a brand called Mastiqua, so like aqua, but Mastiha in the beginning. And
Right.
that's actually made by Skinos. It's a carbonated water and it tastes pretty good. The thing with Mastiha is you have to have a minimum of 1 gram. Like the recommended dosage is 1 gram per day for gut health. So that's the only thing with some of these products. And again, I don't know how Skinos makes their water, but it has to be dosed so that you actually get the effect. I'm gonna tell you with actual Kleos, all you need is about 2 to 4 ounces to get that digestive effect. So Kleos is also really good to just like drink after your meal, the way they do in Greece, but it actually legitimately works for gut health, even in the alcohol form, because I use so much Mastiha in Kleos.
Right.
I'm not
by the way.
responsible and recommend that you drink this for, you know, health purposes, but let me show you guys this. So what I typically do, I actually really like the essential oil. You can buy this mastihashopny.com. And this one actually has a dropper. So like I said, you can, it's nuts. Like I open this thing up, the whole room smells like Mastiha. It's so potent. You could literally just put 1 drop in your water and it's It's more than 1 gram. 1 drop is more than 1 gram. I'll tell you that right now.
Drink it straight.
So actually, there's the head guy for the LCBO. His name is Nick Nanos. So it was through him that I finally like finagled them to say yes to bringing Kleos in. Supposedly they're going to have it in the destination store, which is in Danforth or something. There's like some store in Greektown in Toronto. And then they're going to be selling it online. It's just a matter of like when they're finally going to order. So if you can bug your local LCBO store, say you really want this product, it will definitely help the cause.
I'll go straight to the
we
Danforth.
will.
Yeah. We'll try. Be ambassadors for Kleos.
Thank you. Yeah, I was on some show called Agape Greek Radio in Toronto. Tina Adamopoulos, you guys know her?
I don't know her personally, but like we know her.
Well, please connect on Instagram so that, you know, I'll make sure and reach out for you guys when we actually get Canada going, because I am going to make the trip up to Toronto for sure.
Yeah, we have quite a few people from our board and organization in Canada and Toronto specifically.
Awesome.
Christina being one of them, Fatih and Nia on the call also being part of it.
Awesome. All right, Costa. Well, it's on you. We can sit here and chat. We can wrap. I'll definitely email you with all of these
Yeah,
recipes.
please.
So you can.
Yeah, I'll send it out to everyone. Is there any other questions from the group here? If not, thank you for taking the time to be with us. We'll send out an email with information. So if when you send it over, I'll send it out to everyone with the details on the shipping and also the recipes and where to buy. So thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Effie.
You're welcome. Thank you guys so much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Bye.
And you, Pat.